Finally, it's time to unbox. Some leftover plywood from building the sawhorses. Shaved down 1 inch to 20 millimeters. It will be parallel. So now I'll let them dry overnight through the router one more time, and using the top bearing, I'll just open the appropriate blast gates. To make the shim cutter, put it in the corner about where the top's going to be. I picked up a laser, whatever you're cutting, in a simple 10-minute project. The last and one of the most important details, paying the most attention to the first cut. I install, that I figure out the widths, these Festool screw clamps. Now, I haven't actually used this saw yet. One of you sent me a link, and I watched the video online, and I was so impressed with what the designer of it, Jake, said it could do without ever touching the saw or seeing the saw in person. I said, that is the best saw on the planet. And so I had a little fun with the name. So I want to open it up, and I want to plug it in and cut a couple of pieces of 2x4 with it, just to get a feel for the saw. I don't have an opportunity at this moment to get out and use it in the field. So I'm looking for that opportunity. Either a job will come up where I'll have to do some framing, or I have a friend that is a framer, and I've actually sent him an email and said I'd like to loan him this saw so that he can go out and put it through its paces at a production level, and I could go out and maybe shoot some video. So we'll see if I can work that out. But in the meantime, again, I want to unbox it, take a close look at it, plug it in, just see how the motor feels, and take a close inspection of it and share it with you. So that's it, not much to it. It's already got the blade mounted. You're never careful with a framing saw, so I'm not going to be careful with this one. Read the manual before removing this tag. I'm not going to do that. Let's see what this thing actually weighs. It says 17.3 pounds. 14.3. 18.3. It's a really smooth sounding motor. But the first thing I noticed about it is that it doesn't jump when I pull the trigger. When you use a worm drive skill saw, they have a bit of a pull when you start them up. They kind of kick. You can see that. And so, after years of framing, you sort of learn to counter that with your grip, and you get it going before you start your cut so that you're good and solid, and you sort of fight that a little bit. It's not a big deal, it's just something I'm used to and have done all the time. Jake did say that this motor is 12% more powerful than this. I'll just take his word on that. That's probably because he's turning a bigger blade and he wants to make sure that it has enough power. For framing, I only use worm drives. I don't know any framers, and maybe it's a West Coast thing, but none of us frame with sidewinders. Sidewinders are a saw that looks, this happens to be a battery powered one, but I use these in finish, and they don't have the torque or the power that a worm drive does. The blade is also on the right hand side of the saw, and maybe it's because I'm right-handed, but I'm always pulling my tape and making my mark, and then I take my saw and I see right where the mark is. And so when I'm making my cuts, and we're doing a lot of cutting when you're framing, you're cutting cripples and trimmers and headers, and so you always want to cut, you're measuring and making a mark, and you're going to keep everything on that side of the mark. So when I'm able to look right down at the blade where the blade is going to cut, take my speed square, put it, and get a nice cut. You have to look over the saw It's just the blade's on the wrong side of the saw. I would have a very difficult time in framing with the blade right saw. Again, I would have to look over it, and I need to be cutting on, I need to leave the mark on that side of the blade, the inside side of the blade. It would just be, it would slow me way down. And again, I've been at it a long time, so maybe had I learned with a sidewinder, it'd be different. But for trim, you know, I'm doing track saw stuff and guided stuff, and these are great for that. But so trim, sidewinders, but all my framing is done, whether it's beam saws or skill saws. They're all the more powerful, more torque of a worm drive, and that is blade left. I don't have any infield experience with this yet. You saw me take it out of the box, but I can visualize how this is going to change how I frame. I'm still going to have my skill saw or a couple of them on the job, but I think that the big beam saw, which is heavier and does less than this does, that one's going to stay in the trailer and possibly go on Craigslist after I work out my methodology with this saw. I think Jake has designed an incredible saw here, and I've called it the best saw on the planet, and I'm sticking with it. Hey, if you like these videos, be sure to give me a thumbs up. Subscribe to the channel, but more important, send a link over to one of your friends and help me to get these videos out there. The more views I have, the more videos that I will produce. It's all about the views. That's what encourages us. If you want a set of plans to build yourself a smart wood shop, an awesome rolling toolbox, or one of my workbenches, you can click on the link right here in the video. And if you're interested in getting a Kudze saw, there will be a link in my Amazon store for that. And remember, to the end of this month, which is still June, you get a free blade from Jake. All you have to do is, after you buy the saw, the email that I'll put in the description of the video down below will be straight to Jake. Send him a copy of your receipt. Doesn't matter, you can buy it on Amazon, and also put in the email, in the subject, put my name, Ron Paulk. That's your code, and he will send you a free blade. Hey, thanks for taking the time to watch. Have a great day.